Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mike's Garage. Well, I wanted to talk about going to a car show. I went to a car show the other day, and a lot of classic cars there. And I thought to myself, what are the four most popular cars that they no longer make? That I think for some reason they disappeared. It wasn't necessary. Well, the first one I thought number four would be the AMC Eagle. Now, the AMC Eagle was one of the first cars that came out that was all-wheel drive. Now, it was a car. It was a family station wagon, and it had all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. They didn't call it all-wheel drive at that time. But it was 1986 when it first came out. It was mounted on a chassis, and it was raised. It had higher ground clearance than the other cars, and it had a four-cylinder or six-cylinder engine option. Now, it was not a fast car. It was like a 90 horsepower four-cylinder or 110 horsepower inline six-cylinder. Wasn't even a V6. And it had a cloth interior. Most popular color was red with a cream-colored exterior paint job. It did have some wood grain panels on the inside that kind of clashed a little bit with the red interior and the red carpeting. It did have an automatic transmission and had plastic flares on the wheel wells to hide the big gap when they raised the chassis higher and had the wheels drop down to give it the ground clearance. Now, it was a wonderful off-road vehicle. You wanted to take the family up camping or something like that. You didn't have to have a rough riding Jeep. It did ride like a car, and it had a very dependable four-wheel drive system. It was one of the first four-wheel drive systems that it would direct the power of the engine to the wheels with the most resistance. As you know, anybody that drove a car that didn't have positive traction or didn't have any of those features today, what you would do is the wheel with the least amount of resistance would get the power because that was the easiest wheel for it to turn. Well, with the friction system that the AMC Eagle had, it would sense a wheel was spinning and direct the power to the wheel with the most resistance. So you could go through mud, up hills, through gullies and things like that with the AMC Eagle. It always got you out of trouble because it did have a positive traction shift to the wheel with the most resistance and help you move out of that trouble. It was very popular back then. It was a very popular car. It actually led the way for the all-wheel drive vehicles that you had today. A lot of them have those features. And you could shift on the fly from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. If you were in the snow or you turned off the highway and you were going to go off-roading up to your campsite or something like that, you just had to slide a little lever over and click on it, and off you went. So that was number four in my list of the four most favorite cars that I had. Okay, my number three pick on the four cars that they don't make anymore that are really special cars is the Toyota MR2. Now, the Toyota MR2 came out in the early 90s, around 1991. It had T-tops, which were relatively new at that time. It has pop-up headlights, which they came and they went. They really don't use those anymore. And it is rear-wheel drive. It's a mid-engine car. Has about 120 horsepower. And it was kind of slow because it would go 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. So that's not a fast car. But it's a lot of fun to drive. It does have a little bit of an oversteer because the engine's in the middle. The back does tend to slide around a little bit, and you have to either stay on the gas or be ready to catch it when it starts to slide. Now, it did come with a standard engine, or it did have one that was a turbo. The later versions of the MR2 came with a V6, which is a much faster car. Back then, it was just a very durable, like Toyota usually makes, very dependable car. Most of them went 200,000 miles at least. Pretty much Toyota's kind of known for that, to do that. It was a 2.2 liter four-cylinder. It didn't have any power steering. It did have a little boost for brakes to help you with the braking. And it came in just 2 or 3 different colors. I think red was the most popular color. It did have real working vents on the side to cool the engine. That's where the air was rammed in. And then the top behind the rear window was louvered, so it would draw the air out through the top. It did have some storage in the front. That's where the battery was located, in the front of the car, where you would think the hood would be, where the engine compartment was normally on other cars. And it did have a pretty good sized trunk. It was a very popular car. It's about the same size as a Miata, and a lot of fun to drive. So that's my number 3 pick for cars that they don't make anymore that are really cool cars. My number 2 pick for cars that were cool, as I think they were cool, was the Chevy SSR pickup. Now, they don't make that anymore. They only made it from 2003 to 2006, pretty much 4 years is what they got out of that. Now, the question was, is it a roadster? Is it a convertible? Is it a pickup truck? And for some reason, they tried to combine all 3. Now, it did have a 300 horsepower V8 with a 4-speed automatic transmission. It had a nice, deep, throaty exhaust system built into it. And it performed pretty well. I mean, it wasn't the fastest thing on the road, but it still ran very well. Now, the body style's a little odd. There's a lot of curves, a lot of big fenders that stick out, and to hide the wide stance. And the interior is kind of narrow. The controls for the heated seats are between the seat and the door. It's kind of hard to reach down and move the seat forward and back, the electric seat, turn the heated seat on or off. It does have a hardtop convertible that self-stores behind you. A little panel pops up. The roof folds up into 2 different pieces and folds down, and the panel goes down all by itself. Nice smooth convertible with the top out of sight. The bed does have a tonneau cover. Now, it's a little odd. You can push the key fob to pop the tonneau cover, and it'll pop up and it'll stay up. It has those hydraulics that keep it up in the air. You put what you need back there, and it does have a tailgate. Now, you can open the tailgate for a tailgate party or something like that, but if you want to close the tonneau cover, the tailgate has to be open. So you open the tailgate, close the tonneau cover, make it snap into place, and then you close the tailgate, all secure. You also have the option with a couple bolts to remove the hard tonneau cover. So if you really do want to put something big back there, you want to move a piece of furniture or something, you can do that. It is a pickup truck. The back is all one solid piece of plastic, all waterproof. You can hose it out if you want to. Pretty much people drove it around because it was just a cool roadster kind of a thing. Nobody used it like an El Camino or something. I guess maybe that's what they were looking for, is some kind of a pickup truck El Camino. Instead of turning a car into a pickup, they made a pickup into a car with a convertible top. So it's a little odd looking. It does handle good. I thought it's nothing special as far as the handling. It's all stock parts they used to make it. The design of the body's a little different, but all in all, it's a pretty cool car. I liked it. I'd love to have one, and that's my number 2 pick for the cars that I thought were really cool. My number 1 pick for the cool cars that really aren't around anymore is the Dodge Viper. Now, the first Dodge Viper came out in 1992, and it was a 400 horsepower V10, tremendous engine. It was just basically an engine with 4 tires, and the interior was very cheaply made. If you're familiar with the car, it did not have any windows that rolled up and down. It actually had panels that snapped into place, and it had a zipper on the panel that you could unzip it to open the door, because there were no handles on the outside to open the doors. The only way you could open the passenger or the driver's side door was to reach in, unlock it, and then open the door with the interior door handle, because there were no handles, no way to get the door open from the outside. And it had a T-top. It had what looked like a roll bar, but it really wasn't a roll bar. It even had a warning sticker on it that this is not a roll bar. It's not built to protect you in case of a rollover. So drive carefully is pretty much what it said. Now, if you looked under the hood, well, to get in to the hood, you had to go around to the front and reach through the grill and pull the handle, and the front of the hood would pop up. Now, the second step, you had to walk around the side of the car by the windshield, reach in towards the middle, and lift up. And the whole hood would go up and then tilt forward to give you access to the engine. The engine was crammed in there. It was a very tight fit. Like I said, the car had a cheap interior. It had relatively no safety features, didn't have any airbags, didn't have any traction control, didn't have any stabilizer bars. It was really kind of just a crazy, big, high horsepower engine and a transmission on 4 wheels. That was it. It was like a dangerous go-kart, really fast. They did have a lot of problems with those. If you try to drive a car and you weren't used to that much horsepower and you didn't have traction control, you didn't have stabilizer bars, you could lose control of the car pretty quick, because that is a lot of horsepower. 600 foot-pounds of torque, 400 horsepower V10. The car could get away from you really easy. They were a pretty popular car. They gave a run for their money to the Corvette because they were so cheaply made. They didn't have a big sticker price. A lot of people bought them, thought they were cool cars, and found out how cheap the interior was. Now, it did have a cloth panel that you put on top for the T-top, and you, like I said, the windows would be stored in the trunk, and you would take them out of a zipper bag, snap them into the top of the door, and then you would snap the roof on top. It really wasn't made to be riding around in any kind of rainy or cold weather. Just was not designed for that. It was designed to be a sports car that went fast and had very, very few safety features. That's pretty much one of the reasons why they stopped making the Viper. They could not get all the safety features into the car. The airbags, the traction control, all that stuff. They were going to have to redesign the whole car, and they just said forget it. People wanted a more of a luxury car. The Corvette was the one running away with that, reasonably priced at $80,000, and you had all the horsepower and all the luxury you wanted. So that's my number one pick for cars that aren't around anymore. The ones I thought were cool was the Dodge Viper, the V10. The 1991 was just a basic, no bones, no frills kind of a car, just big horsepower and convertible with 4 tires on it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I like to go into the car shows and taking a look at some of these vintage cars. I thought they were the 4 cool cars I thought I'd come up with. So thank you very much for watching Mike's Garage. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Do something nice for a stranger, and I could use more subscribers. See you, everybody.